This episode is sponsored by VOinbox.com, the only full-service marketing tool for established professional voice actors.
Hey, here we are once again, on the VO Life. I'm Troy Holden, your host. Today I'm joined by a co-host. Hey, Kasey, how are you?
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, but I am doing great. How are you? Oh, look, my phone's ringing.
Okay. Yeah, hey, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So you're recovering from the Euro thing, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We also want to welcome Chris McCloy. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
Chris is joining us today as we like to call him a special guest, but let me fill everybody in just a little bit on Chris. Chris specializes in commercial corporate video, TV narration, IVR, and video game. 20-plus years as a voice actor and producer. He's voiced thousands of projects, Fortune 500 companies like AT&T and Netflix, fast food, beverage companies like Burger King and 5 Hour Energy, tech banking companies like Samsung and Capital One. But this is the one I did not catch when I first read your biography here. 1 billion times his voice has been heard, with a B, billion, as the voice of Grammarly. That is so cool. Also a 2023 and 2020 Voice Arts Award winner, 2021 One Voice Award winner, and a 4-time Voice Arts nominee, Chris McCloy. Applause, please. There must be applause in the background. Has to be. Wonderful. Wonderful. That's a lot of stuff, man. And when I met you, I thought, for some crazy reason, I thought when we were talking, it just didn't seem like all that experience was wrapped up in there. You know, you didn't come across as a lot of people did when I went to VO Atlanta for the first and second time, that I felt overly intimidated. I think we just kind of bumped into each other in the bar or whatever and started talking.
Yeah.
But I always said, what a nice guy. Every time I saw him, that's the nicest guy. He's the nicest guy. And, I know that's the Canadian thing. All you Canadian guys are nice guys.
No. There are assholes up here, too. I swear, they're all over the place.
You're right, because I used to travel up there for business a lot. Our parent company was up there in Penetanguishene, and go up and spend time on the Georgia Bay in the summer. I loved it. But, yeah, you're right. There's Canadian assholes. And then my other company I worked for that had a headquarters in Massachusetts, they call them massholes.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, Chris, tell us kind of where you're at up there and what's the weather like today?
It's gorgeous today. It's sort of it's like 72 and sunny today. It's one of those lovely, not too hot, not too cold, sort of middle of the road kind of days. Yeah. And today I'm actually having work done on the house. So we're going to test I've done some videos where I'm professing putting money into the booth as opposed to putting money into the mic, because the booth will expose more problems in your space than the mic will.
Absolutely.
We're going to test that theory today. So there's a very real chance that there could be jackhammering or crane works, a lot of beep, 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 backing up kind of moments. So we'll see if my construction and my touting of put your money into the booth is actually going to perform today.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll probably pay off.
It sounds really good so far.
It does.
Oh, thanks.
It does. That's the fun part about doing a voiceover podcast. You usually get people with really good sound, so it works out really good. I used to help a guy with a construction podcast, and there'd be a guy sitting in his construction trailer, talking on his earbuds, and you can't fix that crap.
No.
You just can't.
No.
It's tough.
But you want to say something.
Yeah, you really want to say something.
Right?
You're in
we all hear
construction.
it.
You make good money. Can you just at least get a blue Yeti and get in a closet or something? But they don't. They don't. So, Chris, you've been doing this a while. So tell us, how you walked into this, how you got into it, and what pulled you into it.
Well, I guess it came out of a little bit of like trying to find your passion in things. So I did used to work in radio, And I had spent years working on the other side of the glass, making commercials and imaging for radio stations all over Western Canada. And it happened sort of organically. One day I had a client in who was voicing his own spots, and it was a local car dealership, a Honda dealership. And he said, I'm looking for a voice for my spots. Would you be interested in doing that? And I went, yeah, sure, why not? And he's like, it's $250 a spot or something like that. It was his local TV spots. It was nothing special or anything like that. But it was that first kind of, you mean I can make other money? Mm-hmm. Besides the really crap salary that my company is paying me to sit here and do this? Right. Yeah. So I just... I did that, and then I did a couple more, and then I started to go, well, maybe there's other places that I could go, and I found like Google search, voiceover online, kind of thing, and I found Voice 123, and I went, oh, okay. So I need, and then they say put up your demos and stuff. I didn't have anything, but I had been voicing for the radio stations that I was working for. So in that old kind of, just cobble together a bunch of spots. Here's a goofy character. Here's an announcer read. Here's an everyman kind of read. Cobble it together into 90 seconds. Throw something up on Voice 123. Pay the, this is Voice 123 in 2007. So it's a very different format back then.
Right.
There was no kind of things that were happening then. It was just throw your stuff up and audition for whatever you want. I remember the first when I first got on, I didn't realize that they had a category of you're not supposed to audition for every single thing they send you because the algorithm will boot you down and you'd be like. So in the first month, I must have auditioned for 300-400 things, and then I got nothing for 3 months. Phoned them up and I was like, what happened? What did I do? And then they explained the whole thing. I got on the phone with somebody and explained it. They're like, you did it wrong. You're supposed to be selective. So anyway, I had done a few things, picked up a couple of jobs here and there, and then I slowly sort of started to take it seriously, where it was like, maybe I should get a real demo done. And researched some demo producers that had been around, and Chuck Duran. I was advised to go and see Chuck Duran and get a demo done for him. So that was my first sort of, let's get something real done. And he did a fabulous job for stuff for me out in L.A. And then I took that demo and I shopped it around. And it got more of a response than I thought it was going to. Because I approached everything with, I don't really know. I didn't ask anybody. There was no group of people to really soundboard things off of. I mean, everybody was pretty siloed. LA and New York were still the big places for everything. Right. Most people didn't have home studios and stuff like that. So I just shopped my demo around, and one agency picked it up, and then another one picked it up, and I Googled voiceover agencies, and it was one after another. They just sort of, yeah, we'll take you. Yeah, we'll take you. Yeah, we'll take you. And I ended up all over the place. Awesome. And that sort of has been this kind of this snowball effect of having an amazing team represented all over the world, in the U.S. and Canada and London and Turkey and Denmark and I lose track of them, Ireland. And they're all just sort of, working for me and stuff like that. And then I dropped off of Voice 123 now. I don't use those platforms anymore to get my work because I have all of this team of people that's all working for me. So I don't have time.
That's the goal. You want to have a team. Talked to Mark Ryder quite a bit, and that was, I coached with him, and then, of course, we got to know each other, and then got to sharing the love of horses and messaging back and forth about all kinds of things. And, that was amazing to me to hear when he told me about how he built his team. And he's one of those people that has multiple managers. Most people have one management company. He has multiple.
Does he really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Which is unusual, but he gets different opportunities from each one. And he said, look, I would rather pay X% of this much money and have two of them as to pay X% of only this much with one. He said, they're getting me the work, so I don't mind. They take their money. It's fine. And it does make sense if you can build that up. Interesting. But you got in at a great time, I think, because I do believe once the clock ticked over to 2020, everybody and their mama wanted to be a voice actor.
Yeah. There was a lot of timing in it because I didn't officially leave radio. I didn't walk away from it entirely until 2018. So I got out just before, the fit hit the shan, and it was I had one of those sort of aha moments, and what happened was that I'll tell you the story. I probably shouldn't, but I'll tell you the story anyway.
That means you should.
So I was working at a radio station, and I was starting to get more work. I was starting to do Voice 123 stuff, and I was starting to get demanded from more clients and more agents to do the work. And I had the approval to use the radio station equipment. I also had my home studio as well, but I could do the auditions while I was working as the producer at the station. And they were getting busier and busier and busier. And what happened was that I was it was getting so busy that it was getting sort of hard to manage doing one side and the other. And then what finally happened is I ticked off the wrong person. I ticked off my general manager when I got in a spat about usage on what was being sold and all this kind of stuff. So in a roundabout way, he said, you don't get to use the company equipment anymore. And I said, well, that sucks because I lived a ways away. I couldn't get home every day on a lunch hour and stuff. So I basically lied. I tried to do it on the slide. I tried to do it without them knowing. And then I got caught. And they said, don't do that again. And then I said, no, okay, I won't do it again, right? And then I had some big opportunities that I couldn't pass up on. And so I tried to do it again. I got caught again. And the third time I got caught, they said, give us your pass key and go home. You're not getting paid for a week. And I went, oh, shit. I got in trouble. I got some finger wagged in trouble. And so I went home. I spent the week at home. And in that week, while I was at home, I could dedicate myself 100% to voiceover. And in that week, I made 3 times what I would have made. I made more in that 1 week than I would have made in 2 months had I been sitting at a chair making commercials and doing imaging for a local radio station. So I walked back into the office after the week. I come back in on the Monday, and my boss, who's like a biscuit older than I was, he gave it, oh, son, did you learn your lesson? And I went, I absolutely learned my lesson. You taught me. He's like, yeah, did you thought about what you did? He gave me this whole kind of thing. It was so almost insulting because he was like, he's only a couple of years, but it was like, well, you're talking to me like this. This is weird. And he's like, did you do that? Did you learn your lesson? I'm like, I absolutely did. So I went back into the seats. I had a long conversation with my wife, and I sat there, and 3 days later, I handed him my papers. And I said, that's it. I'm out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
What's the point? It's like, why would I sit here? I'll chance it. I'll take that risk. And so I walked away from 12 years with that company, 20 years in total in radio, and I was like, all right, let's take the chance at it. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And
it's worked out.
Here we are, 7 years later, and it's better than I could have possibly imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Kasey, jump in there. Don't let me squash you.
Oh, no. That's an incredible story, and I agree. I think that is the dream for so many people. And you've been in this for a long time, a lot longer than a lot of us. So what would you say has changed the most in the industry, maybe for good or for bad? What are some of the big changes you've seen?
There's the number of voices that are out there is overwhelming, I think. There's so many people. There's so many people that are teaching. There's so many people that are working in it. It's just there's a landslide of I don't. But the community has grown so big that it's amazing to meet so many interesting people and meet so many eclectic people that are from so many different walks of life. I think that's the interesting thing for when I first got into it, there was much more of the people that you would come across. Most of them were ex-broadcasters or actors that found their way into an animation job or something like that. But they were theater actors or they trained that way, or they were broadcasters, knew their way around a microphone.
Yeah.
Or they were theater, and there was just that. And now the rise of the conversational, authentic voice, because it wasn't there when I first got into it. It was much more announcery. That having people that want to hear unique voices from unique backgrounds that have a more authentic kind of feel to it than, say, the actor who's trying to sound like a construction worker, because all they have to rely on is everybody that they've come across as construction workers. Whereas you get the construction worker who happens to work in voiceover, he understands a little bit more about the terminology, so it rolls off his tongue a little bit easier. It's not that difficult to get into a conversation about what's better between a Milwaukee, a Makita, and a DeWalt, because everybody has that opinion, right? But that's a construction conversation, because once you pick one, that you're with it. Do you know what I mean? I'm a Makita guy. I was never in construction, but I'm a Makita guy. But if you have a conversation with anybody who works in construction, it's like, you don't have a Makita and then you also have a Milwaukee over here that you use. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It's like pick your color and then go with it, kind of thing. So
yeah,
that's what I think. That's the thing. That's the thing that's most interesting to me, is just so many unique voices in voiceover now.
Yeah. Which is amazing. You're right. It's a good thing. Was it hard for you to make that transition? You were saying it was so much more announcery. Was that hard for you, or not really?
Not as much, because when I worked on the other side of the glass, I keep saying the other side of the glass as a producer, but when I was producing talent, when I was having to produce radio personalities, I was always confronted with a very difficult thing with them, because radio personalities are... there's a reason that a lot of people are like, oh, you don't want to sound radio, because radio sounds a certain way. Radio personalities sound a certain way. It's very polished. It's very clean, but it's also very forced. Somewhere in the lexicon of teaching people how to voice things, they said you hit certain words in scripts, your, those kind of things, right? So what happened is that they tend to sound radio, and that kind of just permeated all the people that I was working with. And I'd ask them to, say, be a character on something. I grab the midday jock and say, come in and I need you to be a dad who's struggling with their kid and stuff. And it would be something simple like, the line is, son, put that down. And they'd come in and go, son, put that down. And you're like, no, bring it way down. Like, you're just talking to him. Oh, okay. Son, put that down. And you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. The great takes. Thanks, man. Go back on air. And then I'd go in and I'd be like, I guess I have to do it, because he couldn't get there. And I just found this frustration over and over again. So what happened is that I kind of self-taught myself that I needed to figure out what theater of the mind was. I needed to put myself in a place. I needed to get there and get there fast, because that spot's supposed to be on the air in 32 minutes because it's on the run, and they needed it changed. So it's like, figure it out. You don't have a choice. It's got to go, right? So just do it. So in a crash course of how do you make things conversational, it's that kind of stuff was just sort of self-taught. So when the industry started to get away from where the announcer lines were like that, and you started to take the bottom part of the body of the copy, where you're normally just doing the cell lines and something, pretend like you're the dad talking to his son. So you're not selling anything. You're just telling a story or something like that. So that's sort of how it the transition wasn't that difficult for me, because I had to do it. I didn't have a choice. So I had to already figure that out. It just seems to be more prevalent now. So now it's more of like all right, how conversational are you really wanting me to be? How conversational can I make the language? Because we've all been confronted with one of those medical or tech things, and they go, can you make it sound conversational? I'm just like, oh yeah, I use this language all the time in my day-to-day speak, right? And figure out a way to do it.
Right. Yeah, true. It would be nice, though, to have that push button you apparently have, where you can just click, click. Now I'm in that mode.
Turn it on, turn it off.
But it is, like you said, it's a training mentality. You get there. I know when I first started, I was never in radio, but I had a radio voice, and I was always wanted to be in radio. So I was always mimicking commercials and mimicking DJs and, recording stuff back in the day on my cassette recorder at home, mixing my own tapes and all that kind of crap. But it was difficult when I first got in because I was very announcery and I had to learn to do that. But it took a while to where it became automatic or easier. The first couple of years, it was really hard. I mean, I had to really analyze, concentrate. You have to you got to stop doing that. And I'd play it back and I'd like, God, you still sound like you're on the radio. Fix that, but it seemed like when the light went off for me was when I finally landed more of a documentary type narration thing. It was about a small town as they were coming off of COVID and people are getting back out in public. And I put myself in this little town down in Alabama, excited about having football games again on Friday night. And I actually told a story, and then the light went off. And from then on, I can turn on storytelling, or I can turn on, we need it to sound like the guy on ESPN, so that made a big difference. But it took a while. It just took a while. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do. And Kasey has, for lack of a better word, she's got TV voice a little bit, but it's her natural voice.
I struggle with it.
But it's her natural voice. And she even sounds polished when she's conversational, but it works. Yeah. And I think some people
It works sometimes. You guys were talking about technical scripts. This is one that I actually got a couple of weeks ago. They wanted it to sound casual, friendly, just hanging out with your buddy, not the slightest bit corporate or technical. It was about space-qualified indium phosphide high-electron mobility transistor low-noise amplifiers.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on, say it again. Hold on, say it again.
I'm going to try to say it in a casual voice. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, please. Let's hear your conversational that one up. Let's hear it.
I got to go back and find the. It was so hard, but it's just. But this is what people want these days, and it's just how do you make it sound. Now, it's like way back in this chat, but I was really, really, really struggling with it. And
my favorite is when they hire you based on your audition, and then you get in the session, and this happens to me. It's not going to happen to you guys. And they go, "Could you knock that accent down a lot further?" I'm like, "Why did you hire me? You heard my voice." But anyway, go ahead, Kasey.
They thought you were putting it on, maybe.
They probably did.
Yeah.
Let's try it. All right, y'all. Let's just take a moment and talk about space-qualified indium phosphide high-electron mobility transistor low-noise amplifiers.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That was pretty bad.
Just threw it away. That's the way to do it sometimes.
Wow. Oh man. Yeah, that was a struggle.
I had one come through. I think it was Friday, and it was a big rush. And I knew when I saw it, I said, "There's no way." It was a Domino's tag. And it said, "Must be as close to 4 seconds as possible."
I got that
you
one
got
too.
That one too?
Yeah, I got that one.
But the last part of it, you couldn't not pause in between two of the words. There was no way to run them together because every time I did it, and participation was one of the words. I think it was like something and participation. Well, I 20 times I said precipitation. I could not get participation.
Love
I'm just going to look at it.
Oh, it was so.
I love it. The direct conversational, simple, concise, and clear. Conversational. Hold on. What is it here? 4 seconds.
Yeah, but mashing those two words together was killing me.
But here's the 4 second. Price is higher for some locations. Carry out only. You must ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, and charges may vary.
4 seconds. Wow.
Yeah. 4 seconds.
Did you get it? Did you make it hit 4 seconds?
No, I was at like 4.3 or 4.
Let's see what I was doing there.
3 or 4. I can't remember. But
price is higher for some locations. Carry out only. You must be Price is higher for some locations. Carry out only. You must ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, and charges may vary.
That's pretty good.
Oh, that's really good.
I might be a little long on that one. Yeah. I might be a little long on that one.
I know, but you take out those little pauses.
I had to hit something like that. right? But I love how they put punctuation in there. You just you put a comma as if you're going to go, let me stop and think about this for a second.
Yeah.
In 4 seconds.
Crazy.
But I could not do prices and make the change from PR to PA. It took me a while, but I finally
prices, participation, and.
But see, if you stop on prices and then say it, you can. But if you try to go price participate, I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't.
Right.
I just was chewing it up and spitting it out. But anyway, it was a fun way to end the week, I guess. I don't know.
We all have those little things. I have some in IVR that what is the I can't remember what it is. They're in most IVR scripts, and for some reason I have to. It's like you were saying. I have to put a comma in, and then because for some reason my mouth, my tongue, and my brain just do not get together on that, and it just garbles it every time. I can't.
And every time I see something that says rewarding career, I hate when those two are together.
Rewarding career.
Yeah, it's just.
I have a really hard time with credit union. Like when you have to say credit union a whole bunch of times. Like I
can see that.
Yeah, it's really, really. I hate it.
Crazy.
It's always something.
Let's talk a little bit for a minute about AI, and not so much just AI as competition, but AI as assistance. Are you using any versions of it to help with your data mining, or if you're doing marketing, or and this is for both of you guys. I have found ChatGPT to become a better search engine for me at times than Google to look for certain things. I've also found it nice if I get something from somebody, an email with a lot of stuff in it, and I'm like, I throw it in there and say, give me a summary of what they're saying.
Okay.
For things like that. Do I use AI to regenerate images and make me look better? No. Do I use it for other things like that? No. I have used it to put in there and say, create a thumbnail using this picture, and here's the subject. And it does a pretty good job. And it saves me time where I'm not in Adobe looking for a background, looking for this, looking for that. So Are you guys doing any of that kind of stuff?
Kasey?
I use ChatGPT every now and then to make emails sound better than I do, just a little bit, where it's still not, but every now and then where it's something kind of tricky that you're trying to get across to maybe a client. I feel like I use that. That's the most that I really use it. But I do have a virtual assistant who helps me with a lot of my marketing, and I think that she probably uses it a lot more for things like that. For coming up with the emails that she sends out and maybe different templates for different things. So it really it is amazing. I mean, there's a lot of good that comes out of it. But for me personally, I just use it when I'm trying to make emails to clients sound a little bit better.
Yeah. Interesting.
My take on it is I've used Canva's AI for a couple of image-based things that I'm just playing around with. I don't know, maybe if I just want to throw some random marketing thing out that's just if you just want an image to play with or something. I've used ChatGPT for a little bit of data mining if I want to find production companies and stuff that I want to reach out to from a marketing point of view. I have a very old school way of thinking, though. And as I understand that there are the simplicity of being able to prompt your way through things, I understand the appreciation, and I can appreciate why anybody who is very busy wants to do it. I try and do as much on my personality. I try and give everybody as much as my personality as I possibly can, whether it's in an email or whether it's in a product or a session. I've learned that I don't write as well. My personality doesn't come across as well as if I'm trying to be something that I'm not. So I kind of write the way that I think. So my emails tend to have a very sort of self-deprecating, dark, kind of sarcastic sense of humor to them. And that's kind of where my personality kind of lies in a lot of ways. So, and when I end up meeting people in sessions, I get so much more out of them when you're having those human conversations that I try and translate as much of that into the other stuff as well. the emails, the back and forth, the reach outs, all of those kind of things. I find that if I'm being a little bit more me, I get more of a response. Not to say that anybody who uses AI to do this, I'm not trying to poo-poo on that.
Right. No.
I'm just saying that I've had when I can pull myself out and put myself down and go in my email, whatever it is, however I'm hammering out things, it tends to do me well if I'm not using AI. So I don't really incorporate a whole lot of it into things, but that's just how I found it. AI hasn't figured out my personality yet. So screw you, AI.
Yeah. Once it does, it's game over.
Right?
That's funny.
This will end up on the internet, and then AI will go, hey, we know that personality.
No, there
now,
is
don't
something
we?
to that, too. I totally agree. And people want to work with real people. They don't want to work with an AI bot. And one of the marketing emails, I hate marketing, but one of the ones that we sent out that did the best by far was like a self-deprecating one, which is wild. And that's like, people just want real people, you know?
True.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, it's going to be here. It's going to be around. And, if it's useful, I've seen some people posting like, well, if you're using it at all, then you're saying it's okay for VO and it's going to – no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if it's used and managed properly. I absolutely hate it for VO. Early on, I went to 11 Labs, and I let it try to make a model of my voice, and it was terrible. I went back 6 months later, and it was pretty dang close. It was more scary. It got better. And it was close enough to where I think for some certain things that if you could sell that and people would buy it and you had control of it, like what we hear, the 3 C's, okay, maybe. I've never done that yet, and I don't know that I ever will because, like what Chris is saying, I love creativity. I have been all my life, it's always been something, whether it was music, even training horses and learning to train horses a way that my grandfather didn't, which they like to train them with a whip and a ball bat. You beat sense into them. That's how they do what you want them to do. No, that makes them scared to death of you. And I learned to train horses by gentling them, by teaching them to connect with me. And when I walk out in the lot now, all 11, I can holler out really loud, come up, and all 11 are here in 10 seconds with all their faces right on my face. But my other horses years ago, I had to chase them for hours to catch them. They would run, get in a corner, and now to get close, and they run, get in another corner. And I'm like, Jesus, what are we doing wrong here? Why don't they like me?
Yeah.
And so, it's like anything else. Things change, trends change. It scares me sometimes because you go to the old movie, what was it, Wall-E or whatever it was, where the machines took over and everything, and everybody weighs 10,000 pounds and they're sitting in a recliner and they can't hardly move. And I said, that scares me because that reality could happen. It's kind of scary. I just hope our officials and our people in charge that we elect and whatever just don't let this thing get completely out of hand. I hope, we need regulation, and thank God for NAVA. They're out there fighting for us. But man, it's just scary. Let's talk quickly about trends in VO. I mean, you've seen more than we have, Chris, but are you seeing in auditions and things, I'm not going to call it announcer coming back, but it's getting a little bit, I'm not going to say less conversational, but sometimes I'm seeing the word excited. Sometimes I'm seeing words I didn't see a year or two ago. Are you guys, what about you guys?
Well, for me, Case, I'll take this one first. What I'm seeing is words like, you're still seeing conversation, but you're seeing it packaged with self-assured. And like you said, bright or excited. I think in the Trump era of things, their advertisers have a different approach to what conversational is. And I think the self-assured thing, I think it was J. Michael who might have done a write-up about it, and I read it. It was just that instead of it being a conversation that is reserved in a conversational. You know, when you're saying the ads that came, you know, sort of around COVID were a bit questioning in their conversational. Mm-hmm. Have you ever noticed that this? Have you ever found this? Maybe here's a solution. And it's sort of the approach on the copy was, maybe you're suffering. Maybe this is this. We're not quite sure. We're just trying to be your friend. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to be a voice in the ether. And it was that kind of conversational. Now I feel like it's moving towards, we know who we are. And what we are is what you need. Mm-hmm. As opposed to asking the listener or the person on the other end what it is that they need. They're like, no, we've got you. Mm-hmm. This is what it is. This is your health insurance. This is your Ford. This is your Chevy. Mm-hmm. This is, don't worry. We know what's going on. And I feel like it's that more self-assured. We understand who we are. We know that we fit into your life, and you should seriously consider buying this. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like the trend has moved towards. But it's still in a conversation. We're having a conversation. Mm-hmm. I just know my shit more now.
A confident conversation. You're
right? I'm not unsure of it.
I'm not shoving it on you, but I'm kind of pushing it your way. And like you said before, and during COVID, it was like, I'm not offering for you to do anything. You know,
I think we were all in that.
So
nobody knew what was happening then. We were all just like, "Is the world ending? I don't understand. What Pepsi, Coke?" You know, like you didn't really know what to do, right? So now it's like, no. COVID's behind us. We have whole other problems going on. Buy a Pepsi.
Yeah. I agree. I've seen more lately where it was you would see conversational, and then this, like they were wanting you to take it a little bit above that, but then they would always write on that last thing, but not over the top. You know, they like to throw that one in there, not over the top. And then, of course, we go to coaching, and they say, you got to stand out. You got to do something different. And I'm like, but if I do something different, I'm over the top. So I don't know. It's scary sometimes.
Why would your over the top be? Why would it be over the top?
I think because for me, a lot of times it is you are so much of a storyteller and a conversationalist, and then if you elevate, well, then your voice will pitch up or something will change or whatever, and sometimes it might sound way put on for me. Now, for a lot of people, it might not. So what I have tried to do or trying to learn to do is, like a lot of people say, in that first 2 or 3 seconds, how can I interpret this or bring it differently than what the other 200 people are going to do? And, 200 people are going to say, whatever, introducing the da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'm like, introducing the new Mazda MX-6, whatever. How can I say that differently to catch their ear where they'll keep listening but it not sound exaggerated or stupid? And, I think we all struggle with that sometimes. Because I went through some coaching to where we would do 2 takes and then you would stack them and play them on top of each other, and they would almost be identical every time. You thought you were doing them different, but they weren't. And so that really gets you in the mentality of how am I going to make that different? So I think that's what scares me. I'm probably not over the top, but in my stupid mind, maybe I am. So,
well, Heidi Drew. Do you know Heidi Drew?
I know that name. I do.
Tennessee voiceover, I think. Is it? Heidi Drew was interviewing me for at the end of VO Atlanta in 2024, and she was asking, "What is your voiceover superpower?" And like typical, the technical thing didn't work. She handed me the microphone. She's like, "Just here's the microphone," but she had hit the button. It was one of those handheld things. She hit the button and it turned it off when I said it. And right afterwards, she's like, "That was a good answer," and it wasn't recording, so she didn't get it. Right? But what I said was that I like to play on the fringes of my own personality, and it sort of stuck with me in that when I needed to find that take that could stand out, if I needed to go there, I needed to figure out where that was. So it's an authentic place, but it's still you. It's just right on the edge of you. You know, it's on the edge of something. And I think that's where we find our most standout kind of version of yourself. Because it could be in, well, I mean, it could be in any place. It could be in anything. I mean, it could be in, it could be at that moment when you're looking at yourself before going out at night, whether or not you're all put together. You know, you're looking in the mirror and you're looking at all your personal flaws. You know, you see this, oh, there's the wrinkles right there, or I got a zit that's right there or something. You know, I mean, like you just, those really intimate moments can be where the fringes of your personality lie. So I think it's, if you need to find where introducing the new Mazda can be stand out, I think you can find it in places within yourself. It's just whether or not you know where to look. You know, and I think everybody has it. It's just what corner of your personality do you want to go to that is still you? You know, some of them are going to be dark corners, but I think it's just a matter of figuring out where that is.
Right.
You know,
that's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah,
it is.
I love that.
It is a great answer. Now we're going to have some coaches that might listen to this, and they're going to steal that. You know, so
100%.
Steal away if you like.
Yeah,
I'm going to. Hey, I'm going to Dallas, and I'm doing a talk in Dallas.
Yeah.
I have coached, but I'm in a local small town. I don't do a lot of like in person kind of thing, and but I'm trying to branch out and do a little bit more. So I did a talk in VO Atlanta, not this year, but the year before. And then J. Michael reached out and said, do you want to come back and do it again? And I said, I can do it in Dallas. I can't make VO Atlanta. So I'm trying to spread whatever perverse gospel that I've got up in here and see if it clicks with some people.
I can absolutely hear and see you working with people like that. And I'll see you at OVC. I'm doing a session called "You Are Enough."
You are enough.
You are enough, and that's just talking about sticking with your authenticity, sticking with who you are. I'm not going to be you. You're not going to be me.
Nice.
Just be yourself. You know,
nice.
Go out and be yourself. Because I was told early on I'd never make a living in voiceover. You know,
by whom?
Well, we don't want to say who it was. But it was a pretty well-known person, and they, you know, well, I shouldn't say won't make it. You'll never make six figures in voiceover. And first couple of years, they were pretty true to the mark. They were right. It was hard, but once you grab onto who you are and accept who you are and believe in who you are, then all that negativity or all that doubt stops coming across in your auditions, and things change. And that's what I'm kind of speaking about. You don't waste a lot of time trying to sound like somebody else or be somebody else.
No, yeah. You could feel it right away.
Yeah,
you can feel it when you're listening. You can feel it when you're forced. You know, those kind of things.
It's a tough thing. I know we talked a little about online casting. You are, fortunately for you, you're away from that. I'm almost away from it. I've got probably another 8 or 9 months on both platforms, and I'm pretty sure this will be my last year, and I'm excited about it because it can be so stressful knowing you got to audition, hurry up, you got to get it in quick.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the other things. You've touched on marketing a little bit. What is your normal method for marketing? I know I've talked to a couple of folks, and they say it's mainly just to keep in touch with previous clients and make sure I don't lose touch with them. But do you go out and forge for new people as well?
Always.
Good.
Always.
Good.
Yeah, I can't not, because people are going to fall off along the way.
Yes.
You can't take it. I mean, I have a CRM. I use Nimble, and I try and keep up with the touch points of, you know, trying to come up with ways to keep in touch with people and remind them that you exist. But I think for the most part, it's sort of like maybe a 70-30, 80-20, maintaining the ones you have 80% of the time, and spend 20% of your time. I'm sorry, I'm going to burp there. Spend about 20% of your time trying to track down new ones. And like we touched on earlier with ChatGPT, it's like, well, just find some production companies and reach out and say, you know, look at their website. Hey, you guys do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I saw this ad. That looked really cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a roster of voiceovers, you know, that kind of thing? Or maybe it's just meeting somebody organically and just saying, that stuff was cool, man, and then do nothing. right? They do nothing for like a week.
Yeah.
And then reach out again and just goes, man, you guys have been killing it this week. Hope you had a great weekend. And then nothing. And then a month later, it goes, hey, we connected. You know, I do voice stuff too. You know, can I send you something? And then all of a sudden it just becomes less. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to be a resource. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. You just want to be top of mind when they have a project. So
no, I don't even want to be top of mind. I don't even want to be top of mind.
Yeah.
No. It's not always about. I don't think we can be top of mind all the time.
Well, true.
Because then we're trying to like fit ourselves into. I would rather be the right guy at the right time for it, as opposed to always being the, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you be this? Because I've been asked that a lot. You know, where somebody says, can you meld yourself into something that you really aren't?
Right.
And I remember getting asked that a couple of times, and I just passed it off. I was just like, I am not that guy, but I'll tell you who is. Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like, colleague, here you go. He's the one that you want for that, not me.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And then they came back and they're like, you saved us so much time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm happy to help. He deserved the job because he could do that, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm with you. I love doing that.
But then when it comes down the road, then they're just like, oh, yeah, but then we had that. Oh, we needed a John Krasinski, right? Because that is I literally fall right into that hole every single time where somebody goes, can you give me your John Krasinski? And it's just like, that's insurance for the modern world. It's just like everybody goes there because it's right in my wheelhouse. So when that comes up on them, then they go, we'll send it to that guy because we know he can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and it's good to be known for things like that. I can't tell you the number of times I have friends say, hey, our agency sent out this thing for so-and-so, and it's in Texas, and they want it Texas accent, da-da-da-da. Is it okay if I give them your name? Sure.
Yeah.
And I've booked a lot of work that way. Referrals are awesome. A lot of people say, why are you wasting your time being friends with voice actors? You need to be friends with – yeah, but I get referrals from them all the time. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love the community. It's great. It's great. Looking forward to getting to Dallas and seeing everybody because I didn't go to Atlanta this year either. My wife had all these multiple back surgeries last year, and we were still recuperating, getting back on our feet, and I was trying to save a little money. And 2 back surgeries within 6 months is a lot of pain and recovery and a lot of freaking money. But
that sounds terrible.
It is what it is. But she's doing great now. She's back.
That's awesome.
Been back to work a while, and she told me the other day. She said, "I can just tell every day I'm not where I need to be, but I know I'm getting close." And
Good.
she's able to get out and do the things she wants to do outside. I think we hit on almost everything I had jotted down, but I just wrote down. You talked about earlier about radio imaging, and are you still doing some of that?
Producing or voicing?
Both.
I'm not producing anymore. I have aged out of that. There's a clear. I did an alternative station, so it's very youthfully driven, new rock stuff, and you have to stay on the cusp of the odds and the weirds. But I got out before TikTok stuff. TikTok wasn't a thing, and you didn't. Things that go viral on platforms that you're not really part of are really hard to stay on top of. So I just couldn't. I wouldn't have been able to maintain that because then you have to thrust yourself to stay relevant in that world of producing. You have to be so. You have to know all of the memes and the in-jokes of what 12-year-olds are doing. And I'm like, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
So I got out before that happened, and I was just the voicing though. I have one station left actually. I did have upwards of like 4 or 5 at one point that I was voicing for, but it slowly trickled back because I haven't maintained it. I haven't really sort of pushed myself to want to do it. I left the industry because I saw an industry that was in decline. Nothing has changed my mind since that.
Right.
And there used to be a time when radio imaging could be quite prolific. And there's probably some people that are still like the Kellys of the world, big imaging voices that do lots of things that probably still garner quite good income from lots of radio stations. But in my experience, the ones that you the starter ones that you go after, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of pages for very little money.
Right.
It's regular money if you can get a bunch of them, but there's fewer and fewer.
That's changed.
Yeah, and they're just, I mean, just over the weekend up here, one of the big companies did a full firing of, I don't know how many people again, a few hundred across the country or something. And it seems to be about every 6 months to a year, another group gets fired, another group gets fired, all people that I had crossed paths with over the years. So it never seemed to be like, if I wanted to chase something, why chase the sort of the smallest thing in the pond? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. So I book corporate and commercial. So why don't I go after the things that I'm good at?
Right. Exactly. So, the industry tells you, it does tell you. I'm doing a few stations. I've done some production, but what I saw quickly was I had one that had me on retainer, and or they paid you every month or however you want to call it. But I had more that would come and say, we want to do these 5 pages and we'll just pay you for this, but this is probably all we're ever going to do. And if we need more, we'll let you know. And then 6 months later, they might send you another page.
Yeah.
Because they had a few changes or this or that. But being able to go out and secure people on where they would pay you month to month, whether you did 5 pages or no pages, I don't think there's as much of that out there anymore. There's a lot of them, especially with this with internet stations, whatever. They want to buy a package up front and be done because they don't know how long they're going to last. And I've done a little bit of that. I did a Southern Gospel station a few weeks ago, and then I did a Yacht Rock station a few weeks ago. But everything else, of course, has been rebel country, legends country, classic country.
Yeah.
I've got a few of those. And you do those in this deeper voice like this. You're listening to 107, The Legend. And though that goes over, and then you can convert that voice into classic rock. Just take the hillbilly out of it. Classic rock 105.9.
See, I don't really get
classic rock 101.5. It doesn't really work the same.
It's fun to do.
I'd listen to both of those stations.
All right, Kasey, classic rock 101.5. Go.
Classic Rock 101.5.
See, you guys are so much better at it than I am. See, I'm in the right lane. I'm where I should be.
I wish there was a big old lane for imaging, but it's just not there. I mean, like you said, it is for some people who are established and been doing it a long time. And I see where, like Issa Lopez does tons of stuff. And I'm supposed to actually talk to Kelly before long. We had a conversation right before she was doing the thing out in L.A., and I just have failed to reach back out, but she said, I have some good ideas for you. So
Kelly Doherty?
Looking forward to talking to her.
Yeah, well, she's going to be in Dallas.
Yeah, she said that as well. And I said, well, I can just wait and see you there. She said, well, you know how it is at a conference. We may not get a chance to actually, you run into somebody, you get 2 minutes with them, and then somebody else grabs them. And somebody else.
Let me tell you, I got to tell you a Kelly story. Okay, so Kelly was the imaging voice of the radio station that I worked at. So this is how Kelly and I have known each other since 2006, 7. Mm-hmm. So almost 20 years now. And when I left radio, I searched around for a conference to go to, and I went to the Voice Arts, or the one out in L.A.
Sovus?
I didn't go to the awards or anything like that, but it was for the conference that was out there. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have anywhere to stay, and I was like, I just left work. I had no money, but I was going to this conference. I got all my money together, and I'm going out to this conference. So Kelly put me up at her place, and then she goes, you know what? I have a friend of mine who does who's pretty big in voiceover, and he's having a thing that weekend. Maybe I can get you in on it as my plus one. And I'm like, that would be amazing. I'm like, I don't know anything, right? Like, I don't know anything at all. I don't know a single person who is big in the industry in voiceover. I don't know a name, a face, nothing. Completely newbie. So Kelly takes me on to this thing, which ends up being in the Beverly Hills Hotel. And it's a brunch that's happening at the Beverly Hills Hotel where it's like a full spread and all of this food and everything. And so I'm there and Kelly's, doing the introductions, and she's like, this is so-and-so, and this is, we're meeting all of these people and stuff. And I didn't find out afterwards. I didn't find out until well afterwards. I'm like, who the hell were those people? So it's J. Michael Collins' private brunch that he has for his big clients. So Mark Growie was there, and J. Michael Collins is there, and like all of the big, the big wigs were there. Mm-hmm. And I'm shaking hands as if I belong. I'm like, I don't know who you are. All right, sure. Okay, yeah, it's great to meet you. But the great thing is that because I had no idea who anybody was, I got to be myself.
Yeah.
So it's like J. Michael Collins, you're just like, dude, your voice is huge. You're just like, you got a big voice. It's nice to meet you and stuff like that. And then you go on to the next person. So I got to have all of these great conversations with people that I completely admire along the way, and have these wonderful, authentic, natural conversations just as a person, not as I'm a budding kind of voiceover artist and I really look up to you. It's like I met Mark Growie and didn't know who he was, and then he starts making voices and stuff. I'm like, you must be in animation and stuff. So I got to be completely ignorant. Like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
But it was a whole lot of fun. But Kelly opened a door to something for me that I've always been completely appreciative of. She definitely kicked the door in for me and said, this is the world.
Yeah.
This is where you're going.
Yeah.
One day you'll get there and you'll belong. So
and you do.
Kelly's
Yes,
great. Kelly is just she's an amazing personality in our industry. So
I look forward to
she's great.
Look forward to talking to her. That when I went to my first VO Atlanta, I guess it was 3 years ago, I was a nervous wreck because I did know who the people were. I knew who the players were, and as I would see them, I was like, I'm not going to bother them. And I didn't. I didn't talk to hardly anybody that first year. And if it hadn't been that I was following Charles Coates around, who never meets a stranger.
Yeah.
I mean,
Never.
He's grabbing everybody, and then he said, well, here's my buddy Troy, and he's dragging me into everything. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have met anybody because I didn't want to bother people. I felt out of place.
Well, there are a group of people. I mean, obviously, as people get more successful, they start to elevate themselves up. At that same voice arts thing where Kelly introduced me to everybody, I didn't know anybody or anything. So I sat down and I had a lunch. I got a burger, and we're sitting in this grassy knoll on one of the days, and I just sat down, just like, let's just pick a person and sit down next to him, start talking. Gentleman sitting down there, he's eating a burrito, and we just got to talking about whatever, and ended up having lunch with Tim Friedlander. And it was just the two of us hanging out during the day, and you're just like, now it's Tim Friedlander. It's our NAVA president. He's like, the guy on Capitol Hill that's fighting for every little thing that we want. So it's, and it ended up being one of those like, oh, well, that just kind of happens, But if it was Tim Friedlander, you go up, you could be like, hey, Tim, do you have a moment?
Right.
Mind if I talk to you?
Yeah.
Because Tim's got himself up to that place now.
True.
So
they've earned it. They have earned it. Wow, we have almost talked for an hour. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. Time flies.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. I think people.
Well, when you say it, you're just like, wow, we've almost talked for an hour.
I'm shocked. We made
People can play it back on 1.5 speed if they need.
Right?
Yeah.
Which way does it go?
I have that reality every week. I mean, my wife works Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, typically. This week she took 2 extra nights because somebody's on vacation. But for me, she comes home on Monday. I'm getting up. I'm starting my work week. She's done. She goes to bed. I try to be somewhat as quiet as I can. Of course, being in this booth helps. She doesn't hear all the stuff that goes on. But even taking that further, by the time Monday gets over and she starts her weekend, I guess Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it seems like to me it's just a blink and she's going back to work for me. I mean, it's the weeks go so fast. And my mother's always saying, she's 87, and she said, it's just because you're getting old like me. I said, I'm not 87 yet, but I understand what you're saying. But it does. Time, it really changes how quickly things can go by. I look back and think, raising my kids and going through all that, sometimes it seems like decades and decades and decades ago, and it really was just my youngest is 21, so it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But now it just seems like it's zoom, 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 and that's just like this podcast. That was the only point I was trying to make. It just went by way too fast. I know we didn't cover everything we wanted to cover.
Well, what is it? Yeah, life happens when you're busy doing something else, looking for something else, something like that.
Right.
Exactly. Kasey, any other questions that you might have for Chris before we go?
I just want to know the name of your session so I can come to it in Dallas.
My session is called Workshopping Your Weird.
Oh, I love that.
So nice. I'm going to try and help anybody along the way to finding how to get that not that second take, but give the casting directors that are on the other side to know that the person there is, you have range.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you find your
I love
range?
it.
So I'm using Workshopping Your Weird. It's a bit of a euphemism for it, but it's really about trying to showcase your range as an actor and presenting it to everybody. So I don't know, I'll throw some fun things out there, a couple of tips here and there, and tell some stories, much like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a lot of fun. I'm nervous again, as I should be, because I don't do it for a living. But I think that's part of the fun. Mm-hmm. My nervous energy will meld with other people's nervous energy, and we'll have a good chat about it. So
it's going to be awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I hope to bring, I'm actually going to ship a box out to Charles, and he's going to bring it, but I had some, the little tote bags that everybody has where you can put your stuff in. I'm bringing about 50 of those that have got the VO Life logo. I'm bringing some keychain things that you can clip on your keychain, and some pins, and then I had some buttons made that says "You Are Enough." Go listen to the VO Life. So I've never taken stuff to give away, but I said, what the hell? Why not? Why not?
No, might as well. Yes.
I want more. I want more people to listen and come join in on this, because every now and then I'll have somebody send me an email and said, I've been listening to this podcast, your podcast for so many months, and and it's been such a big help, and it's transparent and it's authentic, and it's this, and it is. I know, and now I heard last week, and I really love Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby. They were really preaching how hard this business is, and there's a lot of there's so much bull out there on Facebook and everywhere of make all this money in your pajamas. It's easy if you got a great voice. Blah 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 blah. And it's not easy, and that's what I tell people. You can follow this journey I've had and know how hard this has been and how hard it still is every week. You have, in my position, I have weeks sometime where I go, man, maybe I did get in there. Maybe I should have stayed in that old automotive industry another 5 years and toughed it out. But no, I shouldn't have. This is
what?
Hard.
If it was as easy as they say, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, and they would be doing it instead of selling you a funky course.
Right? It's
maybe.
But that's okay. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be somebody out there trying to sell snake oil, and that's okay. I mean, those people that can exist in the world. We just have to get better as people to be able to sniff out the bullshit.
Yeah.
And then because there's more and more of it now.
Yeah,
and as long as we can get better as individuals, worry about your thing and if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Probably so.
Right.
Probably so. Well, Chris, tell everybody where they can find you, and let me circle back to the coaching thing. Are you or are you not doing some coaching for people if they want it, if they want an hour, or what's your position?
I can be reached through my website. I got there's forms that you can fill out on my website. I am always open for any level of coaching, or if it's even like if you have like auditions that you're like, maybe there's one you really want to nail and you want to just sort of a little bit of a tip or something that maybe could make that take stand out a little bit more. You can reach me through my website, which is chrismccloy.com, or even emailing me direct, chris@chrismccloy.com. It's pretty simple.
Perfect.
I tend to say my name rather quickly though, but it's the last name is MCCLOY. A lot of people miss the L.
Yeah,
because I say it so fast.
Malloy,
you just
maybe.
Yeah,
you just get used to saying it.
I say my name. I've been saying it for a long time. I tend to roll over the L a little bit. So
my most embarrassing name moment. I used to have a country band years and years and years ago, and we pulled up at this Holiday Inn where we were playing the weekend, and it said, "Welcome, Tony Hogan." Tony Hogan, not Troy Holden, but Tony Hogan. It's close.
Tony Hogan.
It's close.
You just got to lean into it. Yeah, be a Hogan for the weekend.
Yeah. It's close enough.
Close enough.
It's close enough.
You're a nobody. Yeah. What do they care? You're some guy out here playing for $50 a weekend. What do they care?
I don't know. He's the Southern sounding guy. I listened to him Saturday night.
Yeah, that's him. All they wanted to tell you when you played those circuits was 2 or 3 fast songs, then a slow song. Let them sit down and rest and go get a beer. Then start them up again, get them moving again. That was crazy.
There's probably a whole bunch of Tony Hogan fans out there wondering where he went.
Yeah, where'd that guy go? Was he ever on the opera?
Here he is.
Yeah. He was amazing. Yeah, he's right here.
I had no idea. He changed his name.
Yes.
Little did you know.
He couldn't sing anymore. He started talking.
You need an ulterior personality that puts out there that's just Tony Hogan, voice actor who does all different shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The stuff that Troy doesn't do.
Yeah.
Tony's your man.
Yeah. Yeah. And just and get me an AI image in his
right.
In my
Tie
place.
your 2 websites together.
Yeah.
You could start giving yourself recommendations.
Yeah, there you
Somebody
go.
calls you up, can you do this? No, I got this Tony guy that's perfect for you.
He's great. He's great. You need to
referrals. Yep.
Yeah,
right. Referrals. Tony and Troy refer to each other all the time.
Now I see a course coming: how to build your own referral system.
Right.
Why not? So it looks like we're all going to be in Dallas before long. Look forward to seeing everybody there. Can't wait.
Yes,
Chris,
absolutely. I'm a hugger, so expect hugs.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, high fives and hugs. That's what comes from me. So if you have a personal space issue, sorry.
Yeah.
It's hugs coming in anyway, whether you like it or not.
You're out of luck.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Looking forward to it. And thanks for taking time out of your day, both of you. I know how it is sometimes. Sometimes it's just hard to carve any time because we never know from one day to the next. While we were sitting here, I'm just watching my inbox, and I went from nothing in my inbox to the whole vertical page is full.
Of course.
I mean, it's not just client stuff. There's some dumb things, but I see one that says, hey, nice to meet you. We shortlisted you, and now we want to hire you. And that's what you want. Great.
Yeah.
There's the job right there.
Let's go to work. For Chris and Kasey, thank you. And for our sponsors, voinbox.com and Jonathan Grant, thank you guys for being a part of our show as well, even though you're not here. But we're very appreciative of you being here. And if you need some help with your email marketing outside of what you're doing on your own, it's VO Inbox or VO Leads. Go to the website or go to Google. Just put in VO Inbox or VO Leads. Get in touch with Jonathan. Very transparent with what they do. And if you don't have time, they will give you time in their full packaging with VO Inbox. It's not cheap, but it's well worth it if you want someone else to basically do your marketing for you. So give them a call. Me, I like a little combination of both. I'm using VO Inbox, but I'm doing my own thing too, and I enjoy doing it. Just wish I had more time. Just don't. Is what it is. Hey, thanks guys for joining us, and we'll see everybody hopefully in Dallas and hopefully next week right here on the VO Life.
This has been the VO Life with Troy Holden on Spotify, Apple, Google, and more.
And that's another episode of the VO Life. Thanks for dropping in and hanging on. The VO Life was brought to you by voinbox.com.
The marketing tool that gives you back something others don't. Make an investment in your marketing that not only cultivates clients, but gives you back time.
If you are a professional voice actor and you need to up your direct email marketing game, VO Inbox might be for you.
Reach out to Troy in an email to get 25 leads free with your paid subscription. Send that email to troy@troyholdenvoices.com.
Need to talk about building your VO business? You can schedule time with Troy on his website in half-hour or full-hour sessions. There's even a free 15-minute consult available, all on the website at troyholdenvoices.com.
Thanks for being here, and join us again next week on the VO Life.